All right, in that case, I will get right into it. Folks, in the late 70s, Hanna-Barbera somehow convinced NBC to order a pair of primetime live-action TV specials known as Legends of the Superheroes. Was this an amazing gathering of DC Comics heroes and villains? Yes. Was it problematic and weird? Also, yes. The casting call went out. For the heroes, they used mostly young, unknown actors, anybody who could fit the suit, Johnny Bravo style, you know. So we had the classic DC heroes like Flash, Green Lantern, Hawkman, Captain Marvel. Nobody bothered calling the old Captain Marvels. They just got a new guy. Now, some big pieces were missing. Superman and Supergirl, they couldn't use. They were tied up in movie rights. Wonder Woman, of course, also was not available. But they did need women on the team, so they added Black Canary, making her TV debut after more than 30 years. And they added the Huntress, making her TV debut after like 5 minutes. The big scoop, though, was they got actual Batman and Robin from the TV series. After more than a decade, Adam West and Burt Ward suited up again. As did their old enemy, the Riddler. Frank Gorshin, yes, slipped into the silly green bodysuit one more time. The rest of the villains were also veteran character actors and comedians. Sinestro was Charlie Callis. He was a regular on The Tonight Show, and he was also the voice of Pete's Dragon. Charlie looked ridiculous as Sinestro, but then Sinestro always looked ridiculous. Howard Morris was best known as Ernest T. Bass from The Andy Griffith Show. He also did a lot of cartoon voices, and he was eerily accurate as Dr. Savannah. Mickey Morton also looked pretty amazing as Solomon Grundy. But my favorite Mickey Morton credit, in the Star Wars Holiday Special, he played Mala, Chewbacca's wife.
Pandering.
Gabriel Dell was the wizard Mordru, a very obscure character who just happened to be in a recent Justice League comic book. Way back in the 40s, Gabriel was one of the Bowery Boys, and he also has a Star Wars Holiday Special connection. By some accounts, he was the voice of Boba Fett. The role of Giganta went to a tall woman named Alicia Brevard. She was an actress and a nightclub performer, and later she wrote a book about her life as a trans woman and became a role model in the trans community, which is cool. And then we have Weather Wizard, played by young comedian Jeff Altman. Jeff would be a regular guest on David Letterman, and he also was the host of the notorious variety show Pink Lady and Jeff. Thank you, Gary.
I love the what from the audience.
We could do a panel about Pink Lady and Jeff someday, and we should. Legends of the Superheroes, Episode 1 was The Challenge, in which the villains try to blow up the world, because I don't know what they were thinking, but that was their plan. Along the way, Sinestro wrecks the Batmobile and pretends to be a fortune teller. Weather Wizard pretends to be a used car salesman. Dr. Savannah pretends to run a lemonade stand. Solomon Grundy pretends to run a gas station and captures Hawkman and Black Canary, who are then rescued by Captain Marvel. This was all witnessed by future Night Court star Marsha Warfield. Marsha was completely unknown at the time, but I think she might be the best thing in this whole show. Now, in case you're wondering if Batman and Robin got to chase Mordru on jet skis, oh, yes, they did. But this was just the warm-up for Episode 2, The Roast, in which the superheroes get roasted by the supervillains. The whole thing is hosted by The Tonight Show's Ed McMahon. And Ed has hilarious lines like, "I haven't seen people dressed like this since I had lunch at Alice Cooper's house."
Heyo.
Anyway, the Weather Wizard makes it rain on everybody. Dr. Savannah examines all the heroes. In some cases, quite creepily. We meet Hawkman's mother, who gives just a series of nonstop bird jokes, such as, "Come back home, I'll put fresh newspapers on your bed." Hawkman's mother was played by Pat Carroll. She was later the voice of Ursula from The Little Mermaid. The Scarlet Cyclone, a.k.a. Retired Man, appears for an uncomfortable series of confused old man jokes, possibly inspiring Dana Carvey. Now, how old was Retired Man, though? Well, he was played by William Shallert, who was a whopping 58 years old. He had just finished playing Nancy Drew's father, and he was the same age as Ed McMahon. But just in case Retired Man wasn't problematic enough, along came Ghetto Man. I'm going to let you fill in the jokes yourself. Ghetto Man was played by comedian Brad Sanders, who later starred in a Turner and Hooch ripoff series called Tequila and Bonetti as the voice of the dog. Aunt Minerva appears, played by Laugh-In's Ruth Buzzy. Minerva announces that she's looking for a husband, which leads to an exchange I cannot believe the censors allowed. Are we not getting the... Well, I guess this part was censored in the PowerPoint. Okay, well, I'll have to do it then. The Flash says to Minerva, "That's right, I'm the world's fastest man." And Minerva looks up and says, "Pass." By the way, we want to thank Mrs. Hudgens' 4th grade class for getting out their safety scissors and designing the Flash costume. Nice job, kids. There's a bizarre interview sequence in which Giganta and the Atom announce that they're getting married. Now, were there a bunch of awkward jokes about what was going to happen on the honeymoon? Of course. What do you think? The interviewer was played by June Gable, who later played Joey's manager on Friends. And Adam was played by Alfie Wise, who once worked with Charles Nelson Riley, playing a horrifying creature named Rabbit Ears. Anyway, the big finale is a song and dance number from More Drew. Then Ed McMahon flies away. The end. Now, what should we make of all this? As a young DC Comics fan, I remember being amazed to see all these characters brought to life. And even today, I love that something this crazy actually happened. On the other hand, is Legends of the Superheroes really defensible? Well, I was discussing this with a friend of mine, friend of the Classics Track, Kevin Cafferty, and he had this to say. When you signed on to be a public defender, you implicitly agreed to advocate for the very worst society has to offer. The system works because of people like you. And so, as I throw Legends of the Superheroes on the mercy of the court, I hope you'll take Kevin's words to heart, and I'll remind you that while this may not have been DC's finest hour, we can't let Marvel off the hook either. Because Legends of the Superheroes premiered on January 18th, 1979, and the very next night, we got this. But that's another defense for another time. Thank you.
I'm sure everybody has many questions.
I would vote to acquit because of Frank Gorshin, Batman and Robin on jet skis, and this is like the natural sequel to the original Batman 2-hour movie. This is like the next level up from that Batman movie.
I
I'm
must
just going to
point
stand
out.
over here while Joe tries to reach
I believe we have a hand up.
We have a hand up over there and then over here. So right here first.
So I propose that this is next year's lock-in movie.
Can I pay my 20 now?
No, I'm bringing pie.
Damn you!
And now your question.
This juror would like to remind the judge that this was the only episode that Adam West regretted doing and said so vocally.
Which makes it awesome. The bar is so low. Ladies and gentlemen, while this was unfurling, this defense was unfurling before me, I was struck inside my judicial mind, and I retreated into the chambers of my soul.
And talk to Manimal.
Of course.
Talk to Manimal.
I refuse to take comments from the defense attorneys at this moment. Only one of you has approached the bench, and your message has been received.
It was very subtle, but yes.
The subtle messages are my personal favorites. Subtle is best. I like to tell a very personal story from the bench.
Oh boy.
Legends of the Superheroes, as a gentle Ute in the 70s, I thought, there's never going to be anything good on television. And I, likewise, loved me some of the superheroes. And then this thing came on. And I said to my young self, at the time I was also my young self, I said, self, should we rethink this thing about the superheroes that we like? Should maybe we like, And then, Batman and Robin chase Mordru on a jet ski. And this movie remained lodged in my judicial cerebellum and medulla oblongata for the entirety of my life. And I thought, now I'm going to compare every single superhero thing, and Spider-Man is out. Spider-Man is done with this. Bailiff, pursue that man.
He can't take the DC awesomeness.
He really can't. Pursue that Spider-Man. Ladies and gentlemen, then at my very first DragonCon, at which our chambers are located, my very first DragonCon, I purchased this, I dare say illegally, upon a bootleg video HS cassette. So, while a regular judge might recuse himself because of such heinous criminal actions, I am a classic sci-fi judge, and so I judge this not guilty.
The system works.